Welcome to the Great Basin Fire Potential Briefing for Tuesday, August 3rd. We will have much warmer and drier air spreading east across the Great Basin today through the middle of the week and into the weekend. We will also see some gusty winds at times over the next couple of days, but more significantly picking up across parts of Nevada on Thursday. Thunderstorm chances will significantly decrease as this drier air moves in, with just some isolated storms today over eastern areas. We will also see another wave moving in with some isolated storms over northeast Nevada into southwest Idaho Wednesday, with some greater coverage on Thursday. These thunderstorms will be a mix of wet and dry. We still will have some smoke concerns with smoke moving east across the Great Basin today. It will be lifting during the afternoon hours, but still be most concentrated up across Idaho, northern Utah, and Wyoming. Looking at the 6,000-foot smoke forecast, similar conditions. Again, we will see some dispersion as we go through the day. We will see with that westerly flow still that smoke moving in from the west. Over the last 24 hours, we saw significant lightning over central and eastern Idaho into Wyoming and down into Utah, with just some isolated strikes back into Nevada. These thunderstorms were certainly on the wetter variety, and we saw widespread wetting rains over a quarter or even half an inch up over eastern Idaho into Wyoming and also down into Utah. We saw some lesser amounts up towards central Idaho, but we still saw amounts with above 1/10 of an inch in many areas. Looking at our Great Basin fire activity, just some new small fires reported up across Idaho and Utah with the lightning. Over the last 7 to 14 days, we've seen significant precipitation, obviously, across the eastern half of the Great Basin, especially across Idaho, eastern Nevada, and Utah. Much lesser amounts over towards western Nevada, but we did see some good rainfall amounts over a few days along parts of the Sierra Front. Currently, our ERCs have significantly declined, especially across the eastern half of the Great Basin. We still are seeing some areas of drier conditions over western Nevada, again, where that rainfall was not quite as extensive or as heavy. Looking at some of our ERC charts, across all of Idaho, Utah, and eastern Nevada, we did see that sharp decline in ERCs, and they've now dropped to below normal, but we will see warmer and drier conditions starting to rebound some of those ERC conditions. Along the Sierra Front, we saw more modest declines, which also continues over western Nevada, still remaining above normal in some areas. Our satellite picture for this morning shows a ridge of high pressure still dominating, but that will continue pushing eastward. So looking at our conditions today, again, we have the ridge dominating the Great Basin with still drier conditions as much of that moisture has been pushed off to the east. We still have relatively low significant fire potential just in the wake of this moisture. Relative humidity will start dropping, especially over Nevada, but also up across Idaho, where some areas will drop back into the teens. Winds will be generally light, with the exception of parts of the higher terrain of Utah, where more of the north to northwest downslope winds will affect the central mountains and over parts of eastern Utah. Relative humidity will be dropping, but will still likely remain above 20% in some of these areas, and these areas, again, have seen recent significant moisture. As we move into Wednesday, that ridge pushes off to the east, so still another day of drier conditions. Temperatures will be quite hot both today and tomorrow with that ridge in place. We will see a weak disturbance that will start to increase our winds along the Sierra Front on Wednesday and also bring some isolated thunderstorms to southwest Idaho and northeast Nevada. No high risk on Wednesday. These winds along the Sierra Front will be more of just the typical Zephyr winds, with the stronger winds off to the west. However, relative humidity will significantly decline across all areas on Wednesday, with areas over western areas of the basin in the single digits and other areas dropping into the teens. Winds will diminish over the higher terrain of Utah, but will still be a little bit breezy over southeast Utah, and again, also along the Sierra Front on Wednesday, with gusts generally in the 20s or around 30 miles per hour. As we move into Thursday, this trough along the west coast pushes eastward with a greater increase in our winds across Nevada. So we do have some high risk for areas that have been on the drier side with some of this recent wet weather. So along the Sierra Front and into northwest Nevada is where we have our high risk for the gusty winds and dry conditions. We'll also see moisture move east across Idaho, so we will see some greater thunderstorm coverage again across Idaho. Again, on Thursday, relative humidity dropping down into the single digits across much of Nevada and into the teens across the rest of Utah. We will, again, with that moisture moving across Idaho, see a little bit of an increase in humidity with some widely scattered thunderstorms on Thursday. But it's certainly the winds and dry conditions that will be most concerning across Nevada. These wind gusts will be gusting in the 30s to even around 40 miles per hour in some areas. So again, it's the western side of Utah and the Sierra Front, that we do have the high risk as these areas, the fuels are a little bit more critical. Further east, we did see more significant moisture over central Nevada, but we could see some holdovers pop up with these stronger winds and the drier conditions. 3-day forecast amounts of precipitation with the new round of lightning moving into Idaho. Just some scattered precipitation, nothing as heavy as what we've been seeing, but again, still a mix of wet and dry storms with some moisture, certainly in central Idaho. As we move later in the week into the weekend, we will see this trough of low pressure move eastward across the Great Basin, pushing those breezy winds over the eastern areas, but also bringing some cooler temperatures, dropping our temperatures down closer to normal. Our driest conditions will remain over western Nevada, but we will see that drying trend push further east as we move through the weekend. On Saturday, again, that dry pattern continues. The winds will decrease, just more typical breezy winds. We will see, again, some of our significant fire potential drop more into the yellow as we see those conditions dry further east. That pattern continues on Sunday. Maybe some breezy winds up across Idaho to help with some of that drying trend, and then also that continuing into early next week. So again, the main story for the next week is just the warm and dry conditions, but also breezy winds at times. Forecast amount of precipitation for the next 7 days, we will see that moisture start to return to southern areas with another little surge of the monsoon going into the early part of next week, and then also that precipitation up into Idaho with the thunderstorms coming on Thursday. The 8 to 14-day outlook taking us from August 10th through the 16th shows generally warmer and drier conditions, but we will see occasional pushes of the monsoon bringing moisture into especially the Arizona Strip and Utah predominantly. We're not seeing any big surge of the monsoon further north and west. That concludes our webcast for today. Check back tomorrow for the latest update.